Beach Elementary for 25 years. I was a chapter president of CSEA. I was a union steward. And also I was a commissioner, personnel commissioner in Garden Grove Unified for 10 years. But one thing I want to share with you as a former classified employee, I remember working in a district. Are you okay? Okay. I remember working in a district for a long time, saw a job opening come available, and I thought, you know, I have a chance for this job. But I didn't get that job because a school board member's son was placed in that job. And I went, wait, you know, hey, I've been here a long time. You know, I at least want to have a chance. Nope. School board member's son got the job. Went on workers' comp, light duty, and then just started directing me how to do the job, his job. So sometime you wait here for the job that you're hoping to get. Some of you, this is your career. You're going to retire from here. And you hope to get the promotion, you want to be treated fairly, and I'm here to say that I think it's time that Tustin adopt a merit system. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I was a personnel commissioner in Garden Grove Unified for 10 years, so I know how this works.
Hi everybody, my name is Robert DeWitz. I'm a labor rep with CSEA, formerly the labor rep for classified here in Tustin for about 3 years. And I currently service Torrance Unified in LA, which is a merit school district.
My name is Phi Tran, good morning, and first and foremost, I'm a classified employee just like you. I work for the Ocean View School District in Huntington Beach as a network systems specialist. I'm a proud CSEA member, have been for the last 10 years, and I'm also representing you at the state level on the Merit System Committee. And I just want to say my experience with the merit system is every single merit system that I've ever applied for, I always got to the final interview. Every non-merit district, I was lucky to get an email or a phone call that said thanks but no thanks. So we'll go over a lot of stuff and a lot of advantages, and so hopefully it'll encourage you to make the right choice.
Thank you. So why are we here today? Is it time for the merit system? So over the last decade, a number of issues have been presented to your classified leadership. You know, and some of these issues include, you know, folks have been reporting that relatives and friends of administrators are chosen as candidates over, you know, qualified candidates, right? This is referred to as nepotism or cronyism, right? Folks know who the selectee is going to be before the interview process and the hiring process is even complete, right? Folks feel discouraged from even applying for positions because they already know that a candidate is going to be pre-selected, so why even bother, you know, applying, right? This makes some folks feel, who have ambition, feel stuck, right? Unable to proceed and, you know, move up the career ladder. So I want to talk a little bit about nepotism and cronyism. So nepotism is the practice of those with power or influence, of using that power or influence, you know, to give friends and relatives special treatment, especially by giving them good jobs, right? And cronyism is very similar in the sense, you know, of assigning individuals like family members or friends to positions without proper regard to their qualifications. I'd like to point out, if you look at the infographic up there, is that the district has a very narrow definition of nepotism. They think that nepotism and cronyism are limited to a supervisor directly hiring a friend or relative on an interview panel, or directly supervising a friend or relative, right? However, CSEA believes that, you know, nepotism expands to individuals who are using their power influence to directly or indirectly influencing the hiring practice, right? So under the district's definition of nepotism, you know, it's very narrow versus CSEA, we see a larger impact. Other issues that have been presented to us is, you know, jobs which have evolved go years without a proper classification study, right? And when classified make requests for classification, like to study to see, hey, my job's evolved, my duties are different than they have been. You know, that process is biased, it's overlooked, it's rejected, you know, or it's manipulated to serve the district's agenda, right? This could include compensation analysis, right? We've had past cases where the district has manipulated salary comps to undercut their own standard. CSEA has attempted to negotiate reclassification language in its contract for years, which has been met by fierce resistance by the district, and we have not been able to come to any agreement on reclassification language. So how did we get here? Is there anything that, you know, we as classified can do, you know, besides the merit system? And I want to note that, you know, this is kind of a last resort. You know, your classified leadership has worked for over a decade to resolve these issues in informal meetings with HR. You know, these issues have been brought up for, you know, over 10 years, right? And it's become clear that, you know, nothing short of the merit system is going to correct, you know, years of nepotism and cronyism and the impacts that we've seen on classified for hiring, not just hiring and promotions, but for reclassifications as well. And this campaign was, you know, launched a little while ago, and it was done after a year of careful research from your classified leadership to determine whether or not this would be a good fit and the impact on classified. We started circulating a petition on April 2nd, and in less than 8 weeks, over 400 classified in the district signed a petition calling for the election. That's a very short period of time. Almost half of classified in Tustin Unified signed this petition, and we had about 70 individuals show up to the board meeting on May 20th to deliver the petition.
So what is the merit system? It's for this, you can read for yourself, for the selection, retention, and promotion of classified employees on the basis of individual merit, fitness demonstrated by competitive examinations and performance. The most qualified employee is who should be with our kids. Going back to 1939 when the merit system began in LA Unified, there was a school board election, and those school board members, when they ran for office, promised to hire anybody who voted for them as classified employees. It didn't work out. That's why the merit system began in 1939. So it's about fairness. And like I said before, if you're waiting for a position and you're overlooked because some friend or family member gets hired, and then maybe you even have to train that person, that's not fair. Hiring, promotion, and transfers. You need a transparent process. You need accountability. You need to be able to see what's going on. You need to be able to appeal and meet before a commission, an independent commission, to give your voice. The district is limited to hiring from the commission's list of qualified applicants. You go through a rigorous process to get the most qualified applicants to help our kids. It's governed by the education code. Again, the history in Tustin here, when I first came on board here in 2001, you had job descriptions that were 30 years old or older. And we attempted a merit campaign back in the early 2000s, and we set it aside for negotiations. However, we did attempt a classification study. We sat down to update those job descriptions. And we went through the process. It was never completely completed, or the difference being is with a merit system, this will be a continuous process. This will happen all the time. Your jobs change over the years. They need to be updated according to what you're actually doing, and that will happen under a merit system. Discipline. This is an important one. Currently, if you go through the discipline process, and you end up, being recommended for suspension or termination, you have a hearing before the board. The board makes the final decision. In a merit system, the board may make a recommendation for termination or suspension or severe discipline, but you get to appeal to the commission. You get a second bite of the apple to make your case. And I can tell you in Garden Grove, there were times as a commissioner where I'm at a hearing. I'll give you an example. One employee, it was just an anger management issue, got all the way up to a termination hearing, and they thought, I said, why didn't you send this person for anger management? They said, well, maybe we should do that. They didn't fire him, went back to anger management, he's still employed in Garden Grove today. Another story. 2 Vietnamese custodians were working at a high school, and they were not getting along, and they were recommending the termination of one of them. During the hearing at the commission, we found out that they were on opposite sides of the war in Vietnam. No one bothered to find out what the real story was. All they needed to do was to move this employee, separate them. Problem solved. Not a termination. So getting that second bite of the apple is really important, and I want to remind you, the decision of the commission at that hearing is binding. There's no coming back at you again. That's an important piece. It's a democratic process. You disagree with something, you have a chance to go and talk and make your case. You disagree with the hiring practice, you get to make your case. You have a chance to express yourself in a democratic manner. There's no darkness, there's light. Personnel Commission. Personnel Commission is made up of 3 individuals. One is appointed by the union, one's appointed by the district, and then the third person is jointly appointed by the district and the union appointee. Sometimes they call that the neutral person, but it's just the joint appointee. And we review every month. I sat in those meetings every month and reviewed every single thing that went on. We reviewed the rules. We made sure that there was absolute transparency in the process.
So CSEA sponsored legislation to make sure the personnel director, which oversees the commission, is impartial, right? That includes a mandate that the commissioner is responsible for adhering to the commission rules and policies, right? But there was also legislation that CSEA passed to make sure that the personnel director cannot recommend disciplinary action or decision to the commission. So the way it works is the 3 commissioners hire a personnel director to do the everyday work of the commission. I want to list these are a list of the merit school districts in California. As you can see, it's pretty extensive. You may see some districts up there that you recognize. Even more specifically, this is a list of merit school districts in Orange County, right? I also included information on that slide as well. You can see that these are the raises that these districts got last year, right? So these merit school districts they're doing okay. So what are some of the cons of the merit system?
Okay, it's not a cure-all. You have human beings involved with any process. It's never going to be perfect. Management may still hire family members. You're going, huh, what? In Garden Grove, the son of a grounds foreman was up for being hired, and the members came to me and said, what the heck? The merit system is supposed to protect from family members being hired. I said, let me investigate. We found out that this particular gentleman had gone through the process 3 times and failed. Took the test, went through the interview, and failed. The 4th time, he finally was able to make it and be considered. So that just shows there's a process, a rigorous process to make sure the most qualified person gets hired. So another thing is, they say, more time consuming. I think I'd rather have it done right and with light shed on it, transparent, rather than quick and in the dark, so that you know what's going on, so you have a chance to make sure that it's a fair process. Personnel Commission costs the district money. Those 11 school districts that you saw up there in Orange County, they have an HR system. It's a personnel system. It's just a process that has a more rigorous process that you have a voice in.
So how much might it cost? Well, up there you can see Torrance Unified School District is very similar to Tustin Unified. They have almost identical ADA and revenue, right? The Personnel Commission has to put together a budget which is approved by the school board, right? And their latest budget was just shy of $600,000, right? I'd also like to point out that Tustin Unified currently has a balance of $78 million. That's substantial, right? That's not budget dust, right? So it's fair to assume that the cost of a merit system is going to be similar to a comparable district on those figures. How long does it cost? Well, unlike non-merit school districts, a personnel commission has to put together an annual report to talk about their activity, right? This includes how long it takes to fill vacancies, right, for recruitment. Torrance Unified had last year a 26-day average for recruitment. And you can see in past years too, 27, 25, 24, right? So they can fill and recruit pretty efficiently. I did a comparison to Tustin Unified. It's not an exact comparison because Tustin does not have to provide the same type of data that a commission does, right? So this average was determined by tracking postings on EdJoin and then comparing them with hiring dates that CSEA has. And so that's a 48-day average based on 6-month sample of last year of the same period of time, right? And it may not be an exact comparison, but it should illustrate that not only is the merit system efficient, but it may actually be more efficient for Tustin Unified. Other considerations. Can the district attempt to influence the outcome of the election? Yeah, it can. Right? The district will aggressively try to retain their own power. Right? How can that be accomplished? Well, scare tactics. Right? You may hear that there's going to be no raises. Right? That the merit system is going to cost us millions of dollars. Right? Misrepresenting information. Right? You may even hear the word layoffs. Hopefully not, but maybe. They may try and buy classified votes, saying that if you vote this down, we will give you a raise, or if it passes, we won't, right? Misrepresentation of information. It's going to cost the district millions of dollars. It's going to take us several months to fill vacancies. And they also might leverage relationships, either through, a supervisor directly communicating one-on-one with an employee, or having captive audience meetings where the district and supervisors are using staff meetings to discourage folks from voting for the merit system, which I would like to point out is unlawful behavior. So, final thoughts. Don't buy the lie. The district is concerned with retaining its own power, rather than cost or efficiency.
Equal opportunity to promote. That is the main issue in this district. So many times when I was a rep, I heard stories of people saying, hey, how come this person got this job and I've been waiting so long and I didn't even get a chance? And I can tell you, we brought this up as your union rep and as CSEA leadership brought this up over and over again saying this is too much. We don't feel this is fair, and nothing changed. So here we are, you have a chance to take back the power and have your voice. As I mentioned, some of you are here for your career, and you want an equal opportunity to promote, equal pay for equal work, accountability, impartiality, and transparency. That's what this is about. I really, really hope you choose to vote yes on September 12th to support a merit system. It's fair, it works, I know it, I've lived it, and I've breathed it.
We're also having an event on Thursday. We're going to have a Q&A session today, but CSEA is going to have an additional Q&A session this Thursday at 3 p.m. in the M&O Lounge, and then also at 5 p.m. at CT in the multi-purpose room. So if you have additional questions after today, or maybe you don't feel comfortable asking questions in front of several hundred people, this is a forum where you can also get some of your questions addressed.